Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Today it's going to be a match from the War Chest Team League. It's going to be SortOf versus Supernova here on Ice and Chrome. Bottom left-hand corner, it is the teal, or I don't know, sky blue Terran player. He's Korean. It is Supernova. And in the top right, it is the purple Zerg player, SortOf. Here in a TVZ, we just cast a PvT featuring Neeb versus Supernova. It was an epic game featuring battle cruisers. If you haven't seen that, I posted it maybe a couple of days ago now. Just search Supernova on my channel and you will find it. And again, it was an incredible epic game. 16, 18, 17 here from SortOf. And, this is just a scouting probe checking for proxy barracks here, but the only barracks here is inside of Supernova's base. Ice and Chrome is a very macro-oriented map, and Terran likes to take advantage of that fact to fool the Zerg player into thinking it's a macro game, but then putting up proxy barracks. So that is why this drone is scouting here. I'm seeing this more and more. Maybe Zergs are tired of just dying to proxy rack just because the Overlord didn't happen to see it. Overlords can't cover all of the ground, but drones can cover more of it. Anyway, this is a Reaper. The Reaper's name is Daniel the Tanker. Daniel was the commander of a siege tank set to the front lines to fight the Zerg. In the middle of an otherwise unremarkable battle, hordes of Ultralisks, frozen like statues, glided across the battlefield. Daniel was the only survivor. He reported this occurrence to his commanding officer, who decided Daniel must have gone insane. Daniel was sent to the Dominion's only mental health service, which is the Reaper program. Yeah, man, we've seen that glitch on the channel, haven't we? Effectively, the Ultralisks don't have their walking animation or their attacking animation. It's a glitch that happens every once in a while. And they just glide across the ground and come up to their enemies and stand really near them and do damage. It's like this, it's invading the personal space of their enemies. It always makes me laugh. So where's your third going to be? It could be here, and honestly could be here. I don't think there's too much of a difference for Zerg for these. But the Lings are, wow, is that a spore? Oh, in order to save the drone. Okay, I was going to say, there's no reason for a spore at this point, but that drone did take some hits before the Lings were ready to go. Now there's a queen here. So where's your third? SortOf. The Swedish Zerg player, by the way, did not mention what his nationality is. I think that's important. I like SortOf a lot. I've been casting him, since 2015. He's been around. He's been competing hard. He's a Zergling, or he's a Zerg that loves his Zerglings. Like, him and True back in the day, and Cyril, I feel like were the three Zergs that just really loved Ling flooding against Terran and Protoss opponents. Just in all the time, right? Just nothing but Zerglings all over the place. And I don't know, I feel like maybe he's improved his game a little bit. It's hard to get consistent wins there, you know? But look at that second gas here. There is no third base from SortOf. SortOf has some plans. The Reaper wants to know what they are because he does not see a third base and he's like, all right, what are you doing? Is it a Muta opening? Are we seeing, this is effectively a Brood War opening, guys. A Brood War ZVT opening where you go for your second gas, you get your lair. Maybe, well, here's the thing. You only have one gas per base when you are in Brood War. So this counts as one gas. And then maybe you take your second gas at some point during the construction of the Spire, depending on how many mutas you want. But there you go. Third base coming up in about 4 minutes. Closer to 4. Hellions are going to try to get some scouting information in. Supernova doesn't want to spend any scans on this because obviously that's going to cost mules and cost your economy. So third base timing checked there. Meanwhile, what is Supernova up to? Anything? Cloak Banshee? Cool. Cloak Banshee opening. Not great if this is going to be a Spire, and tell you that much. Does SortOf does not have enough. There it is. There's the Spire. Okay. So he tossed that down instantly. Like the Spire finished, I went to check how much gas he had, and he didn't have enough, but that's because he was already tossing down the Spire. That's so good. Whoa! Bit of a YOLO Hellionage here. The Lings are just here to buffer a little bit. Oh, they're getting in, yo. These Hellions are going to get some damage done, and they're probably going to scout the Spire, too. This is horrendously bad for SortOf. He wanted to keep that Spire hidden, but Supernova just going for the dive-in. He knows all these Hellions are dead. But he needed the scout, and he wanted to kill 3 or 4 drones and maybe some lings, and he called it good. Man, this Reaper's staying alive longer than anybody. Nice job, Daniel the tanker. You're out. Good scout, though. So now we're meching. Check this out. We got factory, factory. He's throwing up factories in the answer to this Spire here, which, and the Cloak Banshee getting some stuff done, too. This is a pretty good harass, I would say, early on. Now, Thors are pretty good answers to Mutas, unless you have godlike control over your Mutalisks, as players like Serral and Rogue do. So we'll see if SortOf is in that group. I don't know that he is. I'm going to tell you, I don't believe that SortOf is in that group with those players. So we'll see if he can do it or not. If he's going to make any Mutas, honestly, he's not doing anything with the Spire. Like, he finished the Spire, then was like, well, I guess we'll drone our faces off now. Second Banshee shows up. Gets a couple more drones here. I mean, this is a total of 13 drones down, as it shows on the left side, but all within the space. Just a continuous little spate here. I'm really surprised he's not getting any Mutalisks at all. Oh, that Banshee died to the Spore. A little bit careless on that one. And Lings, again, trying to cause some problems here. They are going to take down a turret that was trying to be tossed up at the third base. A couple SCVs die. Not a Ling flood, but just a handful of Lings trying to get some damage done and trying to delay Supernova's third base, which is a good thing because meching Terran players who have 3 bases are abjectly terrifying. But we're going Cyclones here. Oh, he's going to go race car mech against these Mutalisks, which, by the way, 6 of them are on the way now because they're, I don't know, reasons? I don't know why they couldn't have come out earlier, but it's fine, I suppose. Double armory. Oh, yeah, we are committing to this. I haven't seen a lot of race car mech on the channel recently, let alone from a Korean player. It usually seems to be the purview of players like Euthermal and Hero Marine and stuff, but I guess we've seen innovation do it against Serral on this very map. So Supernova, it would make sense for him to do that. So, I mean, the thing with your Mutas is there's already turrets and stuff, and if there's already turrets up, you got to have a lot of Mutas to one-shot these turrets before the repair happens. Oh, the Widowmine hit was brutal, though. 2 Mutas killed by a single Widowmine hit. Yikes. Where is it? Oh, 2 Widowmines. They're hiding behind this refinery. Sick plays, Supernova. 4th base on the way from SortOf. 3rd base happily up and running for Supernova. Creep spread in down the right side and the left side. Looking okay. Not the best creep spread of all time, but that's all right. I think we can accept it as good creep spread to this point and see how it is in about 10 minutes. Yeah, these Mutas, they don't have an Overseer with them, so they don't know where the Widowmines are. And they're worried, and they should be worried about this. They could deny Blue Flame Hellion, or Blue Flame. And you know what? They're going to deny Blue Flame. So that's a pretty good win. The Cyclones are going to try to save it, but that's a dead Blue Flame. Cyclones get no Mutalisks. Tissue Regeneration kicking up there. More Mutas in production here. With a Roach Warren, he wants to transition maybe into Roach Ravager at some point here. Going for a +1 melee attack. So maybe he wants to keep making these Lings and Banelings. They can be pretty good against the race car mech. You get a surround on this with Lings and Banes and it all just dies. The thing is, it's fast. And in the hands of a good player like Supernova, he's not going to allow the surrounds to happen very often. Ow. Bring an Overseer, please, Supernova. Why? Okay, he's of all the Mutas, of all 4 Mutas that have died today, they've all died to Widowmines. Just Widowmines. That's it. Not Widowmines as part of a huge engagement. Just Widowmines out on the map. They're flying around carelessly with no Overseer support. There are no Overseers on the map at all. Apparently, SortOf has no need for that sort of frivolity. I don't understand this decision at all. Thor's in production here from Supernova. So it is race car mech, but there are a few tanks and there are a couple Thors. So this is kind of a hybrid traditional mech, race car mech setup from Le Supernova, which I find interesting. Mutas, again, they've done some good harassment, right? But oh, they have an Overseer with them now. Thank goodness. All right, so Overseer with speed, running around with the Mutas. Look, oh, trying to break the lock-on, but oh, the scan makes the break not happen here. Ling's rolling around at the speed of sound. That Widowmine already has 3 kills. Like, where is that Widowmine Overseer? See the Widowmine and take it down. Yeah. All right, I like SortOf's position here. Ling, Baneling, Zergling, Roach. Did he just lose another Mutalisk? My goodness, that Thor has a kill. All right, that's fine. Big Baneling attack coming into this 4th base. 11 SCVs go down and the barracks goes down, which means he needs to build the barracks to make more factories. He needs to replace that one, which is super annoying, but all right. I think he's okay with it. 5th base here from SortOf coming up. Mutas still kind of just trying to have map control right now, trying to keep Supernova at home. But Supernova on 4 bases is totally happy to be at home. And he doesn't have any complaints at all. Is he not going to repair this refinery? I'd like him to repair this refinery. Muta's getting into the 3rd base. 6 more SCVs down. Bam. That refinery also in a tough situation. And that refinery does go down to the 4th base. Man, SortOf doing really well here. I haven't cast SortOf in some time. And I got to say, I like what he's doing. He seems to have a pretty good answer to how this is working right now. And that's the benefit to having the EU have such great players, right? We've got Raynor, we've got Cyril, we've got Hero Marine up there. We've got Euthermal. We've got a lot of really scary Terran players that are doing stuff like this, and so SortOf plays against it all the time. Elite level stuff, like 7,000 MMR, like doing great stuff at DreamHack players, right? Against the Koreans, matching up well against the Koreans, and I think that's really helped the EU become better and better all the time. More Baneling hits down here. 11 SCVs getting taken down. Missile turrets getting wiped out. 30 SCVs have been killed today. SortOf with some good harass here in the early stages of this match. He is maxed out. Supernova is only on 163 supply. I gotta say, SortOf is in a bit of a commanding position here. If he loses all the Mutalisks, he loses his commanding position, though. Gotta be honest about that. Oh, does he want to? He wants to kill those Cyclones. 2 Cyclones going down. Taking some missile turret hits in the meantime. And the Widow Mines and the Liberators. Okay, so the Mutas are all dead. More Baneling hits here at the 3rd base, though. Roaches and Ravagers trying to accomplish something, but in the end, they're all dead as well. So SortOf goes from maxed out to losing all of his Mutalisks and going to 156 supply. Not super great, actually. Income is way favoring SortOf right now. With all the SCVs he's killed and all the lost mining time that Supernova's had to deal with because of the harassment. And he's only on 4 bases, whereas the Zerg player is on 5 with a 6th base coming in, but losing all of his Mutas there. That is not the act of somebody who's planning on sticking with Mutas for the rest of the game. He doesn't feel comfortable enough with his Muta play. I don't know if that means he should have sacked them instead of running them away from that situation in the main base, but hey. He's way better than I am. I'm not going to question what happened there exactly. So we're going to try to deal with this very traditional mech setup here of Thors and tanks and Hellbats. Maybe some Liberators, although the Liberators are largely gone here. Trying to get some engagements here, but Roach Ravager, just you need an overwhelming amount of Roach Ravager in order to handle this. Although if the Corrosive Biles get some nice hits, that can help. The tanks firing from the back. That's a 24 kill siege tank somehow. What? When did he get 24 kills? Maybe sitting at this 3rd base, killing incoming Lings and Banelings and not saving the SCVs. Oh, the chase. That Thor gets wrecked. Neural Parasite coming in. SortOf knows what he has to do. Another base for SortOf here. It's got 2 hatcheries popping simultaneously opposite sides of the map, which is so smart. Against mech, where you have these tanks and these Thors, they're slow. They can't hit this and then go all the way across the map and hit the other one. So maybe you'll lose one base, but you'll have another source of income to fall back to instantly, just because the mech is so ponderous. Supernova trying to take a 5th base down here at the 6 o'clock. Hellbats do find the top left, and this is what I'm talking about, right? The Hellbats find this base, but they can't be there and here at the same time. Although, maybe they can, because Supernova's sending some Hellions to the right side base, too. So Roaches show up and try to save the top left. Hellbats damage versus buildings is kind of incredible. And SortOf's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Corrosive Bile Baneling the crap out of your planetary fortress. All your SCVs are going to die, and your planetary is going to go down. 20 SCVs down. Ladies and gentlemen, 192 to 146 total supply. Suddenly, SortOf is ahead. That said, his right side base does die to these Hellions, or in the Hellbat form, because that's how they roll. Dude, this Hellbat has 9 kills. Because he keeps... Wow, he kept sending drones up there. That's not great. Yeah, man, roaches aren't even, like, super incredible versus blue flame hellions. Or hellbats, rather. They're really good against hellions, not as incredible against hellbats. These dudes, though, 6 kills, 8 kills. They're dead now due to overwhelming force, but you're not just going to send a couple roaches against them. Greater Spire coming in, pathogen glands being researched. The infestors are out before the pathogen glands. We've talked about that a lot recently. You want to get pathogen glands about 50% complete before you start making your infestors so they can benefit from the upgrade. Do not attack into this entrenched Terran position. I mean, sure, let's fungal the crap out of it. Absolutely, why not? But you're not going to kill all of these Thors and this planetary. Yeah, that's a get out of there style situation. That Thor's got 17 HP and 14 kills. Not bad. Guess who's blue flaming it up here in the top left? That's right, Supernova is. So drones going down here today. 28 have been killed. 64 SCVs have been destroyed. Income largely favoring SortOf in this game, but if he keeps attacking into entrenched Terran positions like that, with Planetary Fortress support, it's not going to work out for him. You need a lot of resources just to take down the Planetary. And if there are also tanks sitting back here, and if there's also Thor sitting back here, which he's repairing the Thors, very impressed by that. Then yeah, I think Supernova's in a pretty good position here. SortOf needs to pick his fights better. More infestors in production. I think he lost all of them during that engagement because they fungled a mech army. Like, it's not really standard procedure when you're trying to deal with traditional mech is to fungal it, but SortOf was into that. The Blue Flame Hellions are just... The Zerglings are having the worst time of their lives against them, but you know what? Banelings are pretty good if the Hellions have stopped moving as they have. So top left base alive, bottom right base alive, SortOf maxed out again. He's done a great job remaxing over and over again on this map. Widow, nice split on that Widow Mine. That's so good. Does he not have detection? I don't think he has detection. Make an Overseer. He's making Corruptors so we can make Broodlords. He has 2 Overseers. They're on their way. They're on their way to assist. Kind of. No, they're going over here. What? Really? What are you doing? Well, you're both dead now. All the detection. Nope, there's 1 Overseer with the army. Nicely done, SortOf. Again, attacking into an entrenched, he learned his lesson. Okay, never mind. We're good. Lesson learned from SortOf. He's not going down there into the Planetary Fortress Siege Tank Thor setup. Terrible. Supernova knew it was coming, set up for it perfectly, which means this left side base is not as protected. There's only a Liberator and like 3 tanks. So if you wanted to, you might be able to sneak over there. Though the constant scans are pretty fantastic. Another base from SortOf here, man. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is his 8th base here at 18 minutes, which is just great. And he's taking a base over here. Man, he feels pretty confident against Supernova. Or at the very least feels like he will need the extra income compared to what Supernova is up to because of this traditional mech setup, which he is not wrong about. As the mech already has +3 armor and +3 attack and is abjectly terrifying. Both players maxed out. SortOf... I don't know about this Ravager Baneling thing. With Neural Parasite, yes. With Broodlords, yeah. But you don't have any of those. You have a handful of Corruptors, and I guess Broodlords against the Thors are not great either. But maybe Broodlord against the tanks while the Thors are away, and then suddenly the army is much easier to deal with. As splitting the army like this is like splitting the party in D&D. Do not do it. Oh, the fungal with the slow... The tanks, a lot of the tanks trying to go on this left side died. Several tanks remain, but that was a nice win. Oh, that would escape with his life. That tank commander is extremely lucky, and I believe he knows it too. SortOf just trying to find an angle to attack, but Supernova's kind of absolutely turtled up in here a little bit. Couple more tanks go down. But Ravagor's getting ravaged on the other side all the time here. But it's putting all the pressure on Supernova, so he doesn't feel comfortable moving out and start to kill bases. When a Terran player is on a roll killing bases, that's when the Zerg player usually starts to collapse and fall apart. But he's got these infestors with a ton of energy. Like, all of them, I think, have max energy, but one here. He needs a good setup for Neuroparasite, although we've seen that fail before. We have seen that fall apart in the past. So, free tank. Liberator going down. Ling's kind of keeping these Thors at bay a little bit. Prosabile gets that Liberator. Okay, this is a nice little attack. A lot more SCVs are going to die, and then when the army shows up, sort of backs out. He's got to back out of here. Get those Banelings on out. Nathanius was commentating or observing, and he left the game. I wonder if he disconnected or something. That is really unfortunate. But yeah, income here, hugely advantageous for SortOf, and he needs it against this traditional mech in the hands of somebody as good as Supernova is. Oh, he's burrowed some Zerglings in here, so re-landing requires a scan, which not as big of... Oh, were they Banelings? I think they were Banelings that killed SCVs. That's pretty good stuff. Not enough burrowed Baneling in StarCraft 2, actually. Zerg players need to work on that. I should really work on that in my own games, honestly. We expect enemies to have detection all the time? No. Wow. All right. We're just going for it here, I guess. I do not agree with this particular strategy, but the Neural Parasite on the Liberators is actually kind of awesome. And on the Thors. Fighting hard. Wow. Thor against Thor here, brother. Against brother. He wipes out the tank line effectively. He's using it to take down the command center here. He kills all of the Thors. That was one of the best engagements of Neural Parasite I have seen on the channel in some time. Caustic Spray on Supernova's attempt at replanting his fourth base. It can fly away because it's an orbital, but then the Corruptors can hit it because it's flying, and it's just, there's really no win scenario here unless you land again, I guess. But yeah, income over 2,700 resources per minute for SortOf right now. The army value is not great at the moment. Comparatively, is this just our GG? Baneling bombing down a planetary, a newer base. Again, killing the newer sources of income for your opponent is exactly how you win this. And I think this is the death knell for Supernova. This is SortOf a Swedish Zerg player taking down a Korean Terran who just beat Neeb recently. Neeb is having a pretty good year. My production tab keeps going away. Yeah, it's 199 to 67 supply. It all came down to that one engagement. The Neural Parasites on the Thors, before anything could kill the Infestors, was just godlike there. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be GG, and that's it. Supernova out. SortOf is your winner in 23 minutes and 8 seconds. If you want to stick around and watch another StarCraft 2 game, you can. Just after I deal with the score and everything here. It's a patron cast for somebody that subscribed to me on patreon.com/Falcon Paladin. And I unfortunately forgot to cast his replay yesterday with all the rest of them. So we're going to take care of that next. But for now, that really came down to that one engagement. I feel like Supernova was in a pretty good spot. He was maxed out on upgraded Thors and upgraded tanks, and he had Liberators and Hellbats in the mix. But as soon as that engagement happened, all the Thors died, most of the tanks died, and that was it. I mean, it helped that 108 SCVs went down. It helped that 2 planetaries and an orbital got killed. 28 Mutalisks died. SortOf lost all of his mutas. He is not trusted with Mutalisks. I can tell you that much. Not trusted. 24 tanks died. 12 Thors went down. Again, mostly in that one engagement and in the moments leading up to it. So, fantastic job by SortOf. I gotta admit, I pulled up this replay not expecting a Zerg win. I think SortOf is a really great player, but in the end, he pulled it off, man. Great job. So let's go ahead and check out the Patron cast coming up next year. More StarCraft 2 action. If you want to see that one, stick around. It's going to be fun. We'll be right back with that one. Game 2 is here on Ice and Chrome again, but it's going to be a PvT. Randy Savage versus Harlech. Bottom left-hand corner, red Terran player, it is Harlech, and the top right, Randy Savage, a well-known professional wrestler. He's blue and he is Protoss. I'm not entirely sure if I said that already, but hey, doesn't hurt to repeat the color and race of the players. How you doing today? A B+, says Harlech. How about you? Solid B, says Randy. Oh, look how friendly these players are. Look what nice dudes they are. That's so pleasing. That is so pleasing to me. Anyway, Barracks coming up at home. Gateway expand here from Randy Savage. Not too worried about anything. Nobody proxying here in the early stages of this match. We're going to speed it up just a tiny bit. Just because there's really a 0% chance of anything important happening here in the early stages. Got ourselves a second refinery, and nothing that's happening so fast that I won't be able to commentate it as it's occurring, right? Right. All right, so double gas early here from Harlech, right into a factory. He has some plans here. Is this going to be a double Widowmine drop? It very well could be. Could he be doing some kind of a crazy Thor rush? Sure. Absolutely a possibility as well. Meanwhile, Randy Savage textbook. One gate expandaroonie. I guess he didn't put this pylon. Well, you know what? Yeah, no, we're good. We're pretty textbook here. No pylon inside the main base, which does concern me a little bit. In case he wants to build stuff. But, so double factory Cyclone play here from Harlech. I like it. I like Cyclone rushing here against Protoss, especially at the lower levels. It does take some micro to get stuff done, but if you have decent micro with Cyclones, it's a skill you can use to get pretty far on the ladder. Is he waiting for a second one? I assume he's waiting for a second one. 2 Cyclones are better than 1, as my grandma always used to say. Back when I was young, she'd say, "Falcon, my boy, always remember 2 Cyclones are better than 1. And I would say, "Grandma, what are you talking about? Cyclones are a weather phenomenon." And she'd say, "You'll understand what I mean around the year 2015. And I'd say, "Grandma, you're crazy." Anyway, here come the Cyclones, and that poor Stalker is a dead Stalker. You ready to be dead, Stalker? Okay, but you got a micro away. There you go. Oh, and the Sentry. Okay. Well, this is why you have 2 pylons. Ooh, an Immortal coming out. Immortal, pretty good fighter here, but if the lock-on catches him, and the Cyclones can run away at the same time. Oh, do not lose both. Oh, the pin in! The pin in! Probes take their matters into their own hands and save their lives by killing that Cyclone. That was great. Alright, so I mean, what do we trade? 2 Cyclones for 4 probes, a Stalker, and a Sentry. Resources lost about 500 to 525. About as even a trade as you're going to see here in the StarCraft 2. Expansion coming up from Harlech after that early aggression. 3rd CC coming up inside the main base at the same time. That's pretty cool stuff. Hellions on the way. We're meching, boys. We are going to mech it here. We're going to mech it happen against Protoss. We do not see mech attempted against Protoss all that much. There was that tiny space, like, man, a year and a half ago, where Maru was trying to mech against Protoss, and it was kind of awesome for a while. But then it fell off, and Protoss was like, you know what's good against mech is Immortals. just make Immortals. That's it. Immortals are great against tanks. They're great against Hellbats and Hellions. They're great against Thors. Maybe if the Protoss doesn't make any Immortals, they're going to have a hard time with mech, but that's not what we're seeing here today. We definitely have an Immortal from Randy Savage, maybe another one coming in too. Who knows what the future will hold, although there is a Robotics Bay coming in, so perhaps Colossus more in the line of thinking, which actually not as good. Colossus are intended to deal with light army compositions, like Marines and Marauders and things like that. Not so good against Thors and tanks. Decent against Hellions, I guess, but 2 out of 3, bad. More Cyclones coming in. A tank on the way from Harlech. Just kind of mixing it up here. Doing all sorts of the mech. Army supply is 25 to 17. So Harlech is on top of the production right now, which is nice. SEV count a little bit low. For this stage of the game, 28 compared to 45 for the opponent, which just means he hasn't really been making SCVs. And as a result, doesn't have any minerals in the bank, right? But Army supply, for Randy Savage, lower with the higher economy. But again, that'll start to balance out a bit here too as he makes more production facilities. He's got another gateway inside the main, but really 2 gateways and a robo on effectively 2 full bases of saturation and 3rd base on the way. Randy Savage might notice he's having a hard time spending all of his money, and that's because he needs like 7 gateways here, man. If you're going gateway comps, go 7 gateways, maybe get 3 robos. You need to spend your cash, dude. The more cash you sit on, the more you're going to die. 37 and 23 army supply. We've got a double immortal warp prism drop coming down the right side while Harlech is attacking up the middle side. Let's see what that's all about. The answer is this 3rd base for Randy Savage might be in a bit of trouble. So double immortal drop is an interesting play. I mean, sure, you can wipe out buildings pretty quick. Taking out that armory is awesome. And look, Harlech is just trying to set up on the other side of the map very cautiously with his mech, but he's losing all of his... Wait! Randy... Okay, Randy's like, I need to go home. This is way too scary for my 3 stalkers and 3 zealots to hold. That's an excellent, excellent point. Pull the immortals back. You need them for the upcoming battle. Oh, losing the cyber core would be brutal, but hey... Hellbats are light. Colossus doing some good damage here. They're really focusing on that cyber core, and I think they're going to get it. As long as they target fire it. But no, the Immortals are home. They get the Colossus and the cyber core, and then the Immortals destroy all the tanks. Interesting trades here for sure. 2,400 resources lost to 2,800 resources lost now. But losing the cyber core is terrible because you can't build additional tech structures without it. At least we got some additional warp gates here. Did entirely lose the 3rd base, which is a problem, while Harlech got a 3rd base during the attack, which is genius. Additional SCVs, again, would be fantastic. 32 workers at 8 minutes is just really not going to cut it in general. Also, calling down mules would help with your income disadvantage here, too. You have at least 3 you can call down at the moment. More factories on the way, more production being produced by Harlech. We've talked about this. The more production you have, the better you can spend. The bigger an army you will have, laddie. But I love the 3rd base. And I don't know, I'm not convinced about the mech here, but we'll see. We'll see if Randy Savage has the right answer to it. He is, I mean, making more immortals, which, hey, they're what saved his bacon just a second ago. So it's totally understandable he would keep rolling with that one. Still sitting on 2,000 minerals and 1,200 gas, though, and that's just because not really constantly warping in stuff. Only has the 1 robo. If you're going to be on 2.5 bases, 2 robos, maybe 3. If you're going for this many immortals and things, just you need to be spending your money. I don't care what it is, honestly. At this level, sometimes what it comes down to is, do you have a bigger army? Like if Randy just spent all of his resources right now on stalkers and just walked across the map, I think he might actually, well, might actually win if he added it to the rest of the army here with the immortals and the zealots and stuff. But instead it's sitting in his bank, not doing him any good whatsoever. He is getting a Dark Shrine, which indicates that he feels like he is behind, although I'm not sure that's necessarily the case, as we're pretty even across the board here as the army supply keeps creeping up for Randy. Harlech's SCV count is improving too. He now has more workers than the Protoss. That's awesome. And sneaking a bit of a 4th base up here. That's not a traditional 4th base location on this map, but it's a bit of a ninja. And ninjas are fairly effective in the lower level matches where, you know, not everybody's paying attention. Right? Not everybody is paying as much attention to the rest of the map. They're just sending units back and forth here at this level. So, more factories. Blue Flame coming up. Blink on the way. And Randy Savage triple pumping probes, man. There's one thing this Protoss knows. It is probe production. He's got actually 4 extra ones at the natural and 2 at the main that he needs to move over to the 3rd base for optimal harvesting. But otherwise, I don't have much complaint. He is another base. There you go. 4th base warping in from Randy Savage. We're going Brood War Zealots with Immortals and Sentries and another Immortal here. And the Blue Flame is going to be worth its weight in gold here against these Zealots. I don't know that running is a super great option either, though, to be honest with you. But if they're buffering and allowing the Immortals to do damage, great kiting here from Harlech. Yeah, a Lesser Terran just moves into the situation, but Harlech is kiting until he kind of stops kiting, and then we see what happens when he stops kiting and everything dies. So army supply suddenly jevaded, says Randy Savage. Wait, okay, well, sure. The Immortal's down. That that Thor right here. You see him? He dead. Yep. You're trying to repair the orbital. The tanks are here, but gosh dang if these immortals aren't going to crush this. Dude, Randy Savage having a great time of it. Tanks are all gone. Army supply is 26 to 23, though. There are 3 Thors in production, but supply depots are in trouble. This tank sitting back here is actually kind of awesome. Has 4 kills, and I think maybe is going to wreck that. Wow. The tree of life there, the circle of life there from Harlech, keeping it alive. This orbital staying alive here, too. And Randy Savage making more immortals, bringing some zealots across the map. Still over 1,200 minerals and over 1,500 gas, and Harlech is just kind of expanding all over the place. In the meantime, Randy Savage does restart pro production because he had stopped for a minute, but he's at 71 right now, which is a pretty great number. Resources lost 6,800 for Randy Savage, 8,400 for Harlech. And pretty much just more of the same. I mean, we're looking... Here we go. Got some Archons in the mix, which is different, but just tanks and Thors here from Harlech. He's going traditional mech against this. The Archons aren't particularly incredible, but man, the Thors just deal so much damage to these Thors. More Thors going down. The Thors doing fairly well for themselves, too. Not terribly, but man, the Thor death count here is 6. And 6 immortals have died, too. Army supply, 46 to 37. Nobody's really been able to get up a giant, massive army in this game, which, again, is commiserate with a bit of these lower-level matches. I mean, you don't want to go air here with the Thors, especially since this guy went into single-target anti-air mode. Really, Thors just wreck carriers. You don't want to go Void Rays for the same reason. Phoenix aren't great. So you kind of have to go ground if you're Randy Savage here. Going up a ramp into an entrenched Terran position is approximately the worst decision that one can make on any given day in the world of StarCraft. If they're there, you go somewhere else. Head up the other side. Head over this way. This is wide open and primed for killing. This is now protected. But yeah, you just need the vision, right? Maybe get some observers out. Maybe send a zealot over to this area to see how wide open this airbase is, because it's super duper wide open right now. But yeah, a lot of games recently on Ice and Chrome. It's an interesting map for sure. Oh boy. Entrenched Terran alert. Entrenched Terran alert. Yes, these immortals are doing some pretty good work, but once they get in range of the tanks, suddenly they're not as good anymore. And everybody has to get out. Another Colossus stumbles and dies. More immortals dying. 10 of them have gone down today. Another Warp and a Zealots. What are the upgrades here? +3, +3. Not bad upgrades from Randy Savage. I'm not going to complain about it too much. A lot of tanks here from Harlech. So at this point, or maybe the Thor count is 0, and it's nothing but siege tanks from Harlech. Like, his army is literally 11 siege tanks. Maybe this is where you go Sky. At this point where there are no Thors, make some Stargates, make some Void Rays, maybe some carriers, just wander over and kill him, because his anti-air is approximately nothing with 11 missile turrets spread amongst all of his bases. Maybe if it was 11 missile turrets concentrated in one place, it'd be a problem, but it's not. Zealots sacrificing one of their buddies to kill that tank, which is probably a fair trade. So yeah, Randy Savage, he's been expanding. He's got 91 workers, still floating a bunch of money. Still just doesn't quite have the production facilities to spend all of this money, where he's on 5 bases with 91 workers. And he still has these 4 gates that he's had for the last 10 minutes. He just needs more warp gates. Being able to warp in like 16 zealots instead of 4 is massive. Although, check this action out. More Thors in production from Harlech. So maybe my plan to tech switch into Skytoss was not super great. Shield upgrade would not be bad. He's working on that. He's just going mass immortal right now against Harlech. Bit of some blue flame Hellion harassment. Explodes horribly. Some more attempts at Hellion harassment, but Randy Savage is ready for that one because they came to the same place. If you're going to go to a place that's already being harassed, don't do that. Go somewhere else. Either attack at the same time with your buddies or go attack another base because there's nothing over here. Although I'm not sure Harlech knows this he does. Excellent. He knows everything, actually.
Mineral field depleted.
Oh, that's a hidden base. Dang, Randy Savage has no idea that's there. Or this one that's coming up either. Harlech's macro is actually kind of awesome right now. A bit of a slower start with a worker count, but up to 92 workers himself. He's got multiple factories inside of his main. And maybe he could have some more. He's got, I guess, a couple over here at his secret base. But Randy Savage has discovered this secret base. And he won't take it down quite easily. I really don't see any response. Oh, this is the response. Hey, check this out. I see a response. Okay, well, we're just going to do some good old-fashioned base racing attempts here, but the problem is that there's nothing here that can shoot up for Randy Savage, and Terran buildings can fly. So Randy Savage is coming home. He's coming home. Army supply 103 to 102, coming around the backside now. This is so many immortals, but this is a lot of tanks. This is maybe a final confrontation between these two players. My gosh, that is so many immortals, though, and they are dying, but they are taking a lot of Terran with them. And you know what? Randy Savage manages to take it down through the power of immortals with +3 attack, +3 armor, and +1 shields. Army supply 72 to 32. Randy Savage looking okay. Coming across the base, or coming across the map right now with his army. The counterattack after you've crushed another army and still have one left. Not a bad idea, honestly. I don't know what there is for Harlech. He's making 4 Thors. Which you think might be enough. I don't know if he's going to be supply blocked by losing those turrets. Alright, that Thor gets focused, and the next Thor gets focused, and the next Thor gets focused, then suddenly Harlech is in a world of trouble. Holy crap, the counter attack is brutal. Harlech gonna lose his natural. Good game, says Harlech. Randy Savage is your winner with Mass Immortal, and this is just another beautiful example of why mech is not really viable against Protoss. Is because Immortals exist, and even if you end up killing 21 Immortals, there's still gonna be 13 at the end of the game. Randy Savage says, message me after. We'll talk about it. What a nice guy. Look how nice he is. Oh, he's just the nicest. Incredible. So yeah, Immortals beat mech. I don't know how else to explain this. You just can't do it. You just can't go mech. Straight up mech against a Protoss like you can against a Zerg. It is much harder for a Zerg player to handle that whole big tank Thor Hellbat army. It's just the nature of the balance is what it is. Resources lost, 34,000 for Harlech, 24,000 for Randy Savage. How much? 17 Thors have died. That's a decent number of Thors. 23 tanks. And then a couple bases here and there. But again, macro was good. It's just the decision making here was a bit off. A bit off. Anywho, fantastic. So that's going to be it from me today. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Go ahead, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.